Welcome, everyone. We will take 2 minutes to welcome those arriving a little bit late, and we will get started. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Rawa, Giovanni, Joanna, Jason, Shiana, Andre, good to see you. Joy, Cass, Kate, Matti, Michael, Millie, Melanie, Rebecca, Tessa, and those of you watching the recording, welcome. And without further ado, let us get started. So before we start, I invite you to close your eyes for a second. And together we're going to take one deep breath. We're going to take the deepest breath we have taken so far this day. Maybe the deepest breath we have taken the whole week. So at your own pace, or with me if you desire to, we're going to exhale. And together we're going to inhale fully. Filling up our lungs all the way in, all the way up. Holding for a little bit. And whenever you're ready, releasing. Bringing your attention to this moment. There's a million places where you could be, and you've chosen to be here. And if you are here, you might as well be present. We might as well make the most out of our time together. The capacity for us, for you and I to be present, is directly related to our capacity to breathe, to receive prana, life force, into ourselves, to receive this moment fully. So I invite you to receive this transmission fully and to enjoy what my team and I have prepared for you this evening or morning, depending on where you're at. So welcome to Integrated. Now, let's get started. Let me share my screen and give me a thumbs up if you see my screen. Okay.
Nico, before you jump in, I know the quality of the recording matters to you. Your mic is way too hot. You got to turn the gain down. I don't know if you're seeing the chat. A bunch of people are saying it.
Thank you. Let's see. Is this better?
Yeah, much better.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Jason. Sweet. Awesome. So now, officially, let us get started. Let's see. I'm gonna share my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you see it. All right. Do you all see my screen right now? Amazing. So Perfect. Welcome to Integrated. What is Integrated? What are we doing here? What we're doing here is we're going to understand how to be rooted in our masculine structure, guided by our feminine intuition, and empowered in our unfiltered creative expression. And this is just a lot of words to say that we want for our mind, our actions, our commitment to be in service to our heart, to be in service to that which matters. We want to stop being fragmented, to stop our heart from pulling in one direction, our mind from pulling into another, and ourselves from being surprised when our actions are all over the place. We worship way too many gods in different temples, and we wonder why we don't seem to have a relationship with any of them. Becoming whole, becoming integrated is at the source of peace, first and foremost. Second, power, because only when I am united within myself, I am effective. The carriage is no longer being pulled by 20 horses in 20 different directions. And prosperity, which is not just about money, but it's about a way of being where I'm in right relationship with life. I receive this moment fully and it feels so good. And I give of myself fully and it feels so good. And for many of you, one of these is of balance. Maybe you give too much, you feel very good giving, and you tense up when it comes to receiving or even asking. Or maybe you're okay, you're relaxed, you welcome when things come your way. But when it comes to showing up, when it comes to taking a stand towards that which you want to create proactively, ooh, what are people going to think about me? So just raise your hand if this seems like something that will be worth our time exploring tonight. Wonderful. So I would love for you to relate to this space as a bonfire. And I ask for a bonfire because there's different ways in which we can engage with other humans. There's the way in which we talk to a friend while we scroll on our phone, while we're thinking about what is there for lunch and about my children and about work. And they tell us a story and it's a bit of a gossip and like, okay. And there's a very different way in which when we're sitting around a fire, suddenly we put our phones away and we listen, we're present. Suddenly we are in the moment. Fires have gathered humanity from the beginning of our existence, at least. And they're places that invite depth, they invite warmth and connection. So I invite you to see this as a virtual bonfire. And the elder in the jungle, they told me that every time you're in a fire, every time you're about to go through a deep process, the first thing you do is you introduce yourself into the territory, into the space. You put your name, your intentions. You acknowledge that this is where I am and this is what I want. You tell the truth because the spirits, God, nature, life cannot help you if you're unwilling to arrive to this moment as it is, free from your judgments of it should be a different way. I should be further ahead or whatever that is. So we're going to throw our metaphorical names into the fire. And I invite you to comment in the chat box and share, if you haven't, where are you from and why are you here? And keep it in a few words. Why are you here? Beyond the story, do you feel stuck in your business? Do you feel a knot in your throat when it comes to sharing? Do you feel you lack boundaries with your clients, with your loved ones? Let me know. Clarity, healing father wound. Germany from LA, afraid of jumping into coaching, helping people, feeling stuck. To learn to be more present for myself and others, to understand and end public expression blockage and creation. All right. Mark near Toronto. I feel like I have two identities and would love to merge them. Also just curious. All right. Who here feels like they have two or more identities. A part of you that maybe loves money, loves to live an abundant life, and a part that maybe feels guilty for it. Or maybe a part of you that is very effective in your business, and a spiritual side that is underdeveloped or neglected. All right, so scared of posting online and giving to be an authentic service? Wonderful. Romania, welcome, Joanna. Now, what's the moment where you held back recently? And without going to the story, what is it? Was it a conversation at work? Was it a conversation with your partner? Was it a client? Was it with yourself? There was something you really wanted to do and you held yourself back from it. Once again, let me know in the comments. Yesterday, sending emails to my clients for a new healing space I'm creating. Today, connecting with a potential creative support and client. What is the moment where you have held back recently? Talking to my sister about her bad habits. And to those of you sitting and just watching and not being involved, I invite you to consider that this is at the source of what's going on. Every time that we show up as spectators in any area of our life, it translates in every other area of our life. If you're a spectator of everybody else sharing their message, owning their power, scaling their impact, then you probably find yourself being a spectator here. And sooner or later, you're going to have to break out of that mold, out of that identity. So let's see, not having real conversations with my aging parents about their reality, difficult conversation with my partner, reaching out for a proposal. All right, spend all day overcoming blockages as I get closer to communicating my offer online, sharing on social media, creating authentic content for one's business, and fear of being seen. Thank you. Now, what is something you have wanted to share, to post, but you haven't? What's a topic where you feel, oh, I don't go there? Is it spirituality because you're known as the business guy or woman in your circle? Is it about religion, your belief, your connection to God because you don't want to be seen as too woo-woo? Is it about business because you're a spiritual person and you don't want to be seen as greedy, as salesy? Is it about sexuality? Is it about maybe politics? Business because I'm a spiritual person, hiding my real identity, afraid of sharing my raw truth. Sexuality, that's a big one for most people. We're all the result of sex, and yet it's taboo to speak about it. We all pretend we're not having it, we pretend we don't want it, or at least we don't want to talk about it with anybody else, even though every single person that is alive is the result of it. How crazy is that? Fear of being authentic, sharing about my gifts and talents, talking about myself, I seem to dilute who I am. Ooh. Very often we're quick to celebrate another, but very harsh, or we dim it down when it comes to owning how far we've come. Not giving myself enough time to formulate my thoughts and saying with confidence, all right. Now, how long has this been going on for? I want you to share with me. Is this from today or last week? Is this a recent happening? Is it maybe a month, a year, a few years? How long have you been suppressing your fullest self-expression? Let's see, a year, 5 years, forever, a few years, far too long, for as long as I can remember, my whole life. Years since 2012, 2 years probably always. All right, so first, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your involvement. For those who said always, I want to invite you to consider that there was a moment in time where there were no filters placed upon you, where you were just a piece of life that cried when he wanted to cry, played and was loud when she wanted to play and be loud, explored his or her body when it felt pleasant to do so before society, parents, and everybody in between condition you. So we're going to be exploring a little bit deeper that self-expression is not something we create. It's not something we build. It's not a skill that we practice on, but it's something that we uncover. Now, what is your silence costing you? What is it costing you? And I want you to be honest. And I can go first. I had a time when not sharing about my sexual desire with my wife out of fear of triggering her or making her upset or creating discomfort for her was about to cost me my marriage, because I held so much shame around sexuality after close to a decade of overindulging in it. And I thought that if I give myself fully to my desire, I may destroy my marriage like I destroyed my past relationships. But I felt constricted, closed off from connecting from that place, from sharing openly with my wife. So, what is your silence costing you? My mental health, financial abundance, costing joy, costing everything, costing inner peace, the opportunity to take actions that will help me create an income stream in Brazil, aliveness, joy, and more abundance, an abundant life. Creating balance is costing me the life I really want and disconnect from my spirit and soul. So, all right. Thank you for your honesty. This gives me a good temperature check of where you're at, and you are in the right place. I'm going to invite you today to challenge a few things about the way that you live, about the way that you show up, about that fragmentation that is costing you your truth, that is costing you your life. Because it's like joining a soccer game and you don't know whether you want to sit in the bench, whether you want to pass water, join this team or that team. Then suddenly, by the time the game is about to end, you're just so confused that you haven't done anything properly. You have not enjoyed your time. And you wonder, wow, I wasted my time. That's what happens for many people on their deathbed. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm going to share very briefly a little bit about my own journey so that you understand why I'm here and why I'm sharing this with you. I'll be very, very quick because I see many familiar faces here. So first, this is me on a quinceañera party of the woman that I had a crush with. She was a family friend. She had just turned 15 years old. I was 14 or 15. And I remember spending probably like 2 hours to get ready for that party, only to sit in this chair. Around this time, I was voted the least likely to get a kiss. And I think the previous year, I was voted least likely to ever have a girlfriend in high school, middle school, high school. So for me, women were something that was never going to be in the books. I felt very shy. I would stutter if I had to speak with a woman. And I came to this party, and I remember sitting in this chair. And in Colombia, it's tradition for generally like the friends of the family to all dance with the birthday girl. And I remember that she came to me and she said, let's dance. And even though everything within me was dying to just hold her hands and dance with her and just be close to her, I said no. I was way, 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 way too shy. And my parents came and said, hey, Nico, is this respectful? Dance with the birthday girl. And I felt even more pressure. And then her parents came and even more pressure. And the night ended and I didn't dance with her. And I thought about this for months afterwards. And as I share my stories, I want you to think about what they mean for you. Because this is not about dancing or about a party, but we all have the ways in which we close down from that which we want. Almost every single one of you knows that on the other side of showing up in a specific way, on your phone, on your social media, lies a complete different life, income, degree of impact. Many of you know that on the other side of a few difficult conversations lies a whole different life. And these are orbiting around you, they're coming towards you. And yet you sit on your chair like I did. Now, for reference, I was so bad with women that I started planning to become a priest. So I thought, you know what? Women is not my thing. Talking with people is not my thing. I'm just gonna be a priest. I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna do my first. It's a picture of the first communion with my parents, and again, just feeling that love and romance is never gonna be in the books for me. Completely disempowered and feeling a little bit resentful when I would walk into my high school and see other kids having girlfriends, having dates, and feeling free. That's what bothered me the most, that they were self-expressed, they were laughing, they were having fun. They seemed to be free. And here I was overthinking every word and like running away from groups, from adults, from women, and from many opportunities. Very often, and most of us, to some degree, are still we're still these kids. The person that shows up or that doesn't show up, especially on social media, the person that doesn't take bold risks, the person that is afraid to quit a professional, curated, good life, is the part that had to chase or wanted to chase validation, approval, the part that is afraid of not fitting in. Now, fast forward, I moved to Toronto, and after a few heartbreaks, my anger led me to realize that I needed to change. Women kept dumping me always for another man, and I thought, first I was angry towards women, and then I realized, you know what? I'm gonna get tattoos. I'm gonna take steroids. At one point, I was weighing 200 pounds. That's close to 100 kilos of lean, mean muscles, and thinking that if I make a lot of money, if I tattoo myself from the neck down, if I turn into an asshole, then I'm gonna prove other people wrong. This picture was taken in Dubai in a hotel room where the company that we were working with, they will reward their salespeople. But in order to move money out of China, what they did is they melted these golden like lingots. I don't know how you call them, but it was gold, bars of gold, so they could move it easily on a briefcase. And I remember that when we were meeting this guy named Rocky, he came and I was with my father, and then he's handing out these bars of gold to congratulate how well our family business had done that year. And I remember in the middle of that feeling completely empty, holding probably the most amount of money that I had held to that date on my hand. In one of the most luxurious cities I had visited, in one of the fanciest hotels that I had ever been in. And I remember looking out the window and feeling completely empty. Feeling that even though I had forced my way through success, through business, through being what I thought would be an attractive man, a powerful man, it was all coming from the head. So I realized that something had to change, and that led me afterwards to Colombia. Here's a picture with the temple that I helped build back in the day. That was a few years ago. In the morning after an ayahuasca ceremony, and it was the eventual journey back to the heart. But the problem was that there was a lot of bypassing associated with it. I lived with indigenous shamans and ayahuasca communities for some time. And even though I felt so good and I felt liberated and that I was letting go of the trauma and whatnot, there was this subtle degree of anxiety around what I'm going to do for work afterwards. How am I going to afford going back to Canada, going to Russia to see my wife? How am I going to afford my dreams? When I looked around, everybody that was there had in some way burned their lives in order to come and devote themselves to the spiritual path. But I saw a lot of people that were not just fully free, like you would imagine a monk would be, but I saw a lot of people in struggle, in stress. And it didn't take long until I saw the very shamans who were preaching about impeccability and integrity being sneaky around money, gossiping around other people, judging, casting a finger on other shamans that were making more money, that were charging a little bit more, that had built a bigger temple, that were doing something that they didn't approve of. The moment I realized that the spiritual journey can bring us into a space of healing. Spiritual journey can help us reconnect with our heart, with a sense of meaning. But if we ditch all that has come before that, if we ditch the lessons, if we ditch the pain, it was for nothing. I've understood that, when we're growing, and every of you has gone through this, we're settling deep roots into the world. The roots grow in the shadows. Your darkness, whether that's been addiction, of work, of substances, of whatever it is, your pain, your trauma has been your growth through the shadows. And your fruits, your love, your generosity, your wisdom, that's what comes to the light. But in the same way that a life, like a tree with only roots, it's empty, it's an empty tree, it doesn't bear fruits, it doesn't have that sweetness. And a tree with a lot of fruits, but no roots, or the roots are not deep enough, it's a tree that's going to fall apart. And as it falls apart, it's going to eventually have to start back from zero and spread the tiny little vines back into the earth. So my intention and the reason behind this workshop is that we understand that living a life, a spiritual life, is not independent of being effective in what we do in the world. Not if we do it right. Not if we marry these two seemingly opposing forces. Not if we become integrated. So give me a thumbs up if you can relate to some of this, if you have your own version in your story where perhaps you went too much into the business side or too much into the spiritual side, and you're trying still to find your balance after having swung in both extremes of the pendulum. All right. Sweet. So just to wrap this up very quickly, today, when it comes to impact and message, we're averaging over 2 million views per month on Instagram alone, a lot more on Facebook, on email. I've been invited as a guest speaker by top podcasts around the world. My work has been praised by people like Peter Crone. Some of you know him, the Mind Architect. Teal Swan, she's a renowned spiritual speaker. Ranveer Alabaria, one of India's most famous creators. Sahara Rose, she has the #1 spirituality podcast for the last 7 years. Gerard Adams, the millennial mentor and incredible entrepreneur. And even Hormosis team in some work that I did with them last year. I'm married to a wife that I love and that I make constant time for. Recently, I got my health measured because I came out of an extended fast, and I scored in the 99 percentile of health among all people and men my age. What this means is that I'm healthier than 99% of people or men my age. And I say this not to brag, but to show you the proof that success doesn't have to cost our relationship, our marriage. It doesn't have to come at the expense of our health. And also, it doesn't have to be something that we just amass in a greedy kind of way. For example, when back in COVID, we fed about 200 families and different projects, families that had been left aside by the government. And when a lot of coaches were struggling because the world is going crazy, nobody wants to invest, people's jobs are ending, or people don't have that much money to spare. We put something together very quickly that allowed for us to have a team that was going to the jungle, walking for 2 hours with a 30-kilo grocery bag on their shoulders to deliver to people that had been literally abandoned by the government with no resources, no money, and no way for them to access food well, indefinitely. I share this because I believe that it is not the work that we're doing and the work that you're doing is not for you. A tree's fruits are not for the tree to eat. So it is very important that we get our shit together. Not because we're gonna make more money, not because we're gonna live a fancier life after some degree of comfort, it doesn't fucking matter. But because there are people that God is waiting to serve through you, that God wants to serve through you, but He can't, she cannot, because you're in your head, because you're afraid. There are families on the edge of breakup, on the edge of financial collapse, of the edge of disease, or already going through it, whatever you help people with. There's people struggling, there's people thirsty for the very water that you have plenty of, that you have an oasis of in your heart. But maybe you're too stingy to share it. Ooh, what are people going to think about me? This is the problem that we face. Not one of making money, but one of working from a place of meaning, of connection, of integration. So before we go into the topics of today, there's 3 distinctions that I want to share with you. Each of these, usually when I lead workshops, we can spend multiple hours in each of these distinctions. We're going to glance over them because as much as I want to give you everything I've got, I would be lying to you if I told you that we're going to radically transform everything and all things in your life, your love life, your business in 90 minutes. This workshop is part of a larger body of work. Yeah, Tyler, 10-hour workshop next time. This workshop is part of a larger body of work. In fact, part of why we're hosting this, and I want to be transparent, is we're about to launch a community called Called to Lead. We're going to drop the link for those of you that are interested in the chat box. Because mastery takes time, it takes commitment, it takes devotion. We don't have one date with our beloved and then we call it a good relationship. No, it's a series of very good dates. A good date can heal a lot of things. It can create a lot of passion. It can open a lot of doors, a lot of windows. But it's our consistency that it's actually going to take us further. So for those of you that end up having to leave earlier, the link has been posted in the comments. Save it somewhere. Now, let's keep going. The first distinction that I want you to keep in your mind is initiation versus information. Information is something that we consume. Initiation is a commitment that we make. If you have paid coaches, if you have joined workshops, I invite you to consider that if you have not seen the results you were promised, or the results have been lukewarm, it's because you went in there hoping to receive information and you ditched the possibility for initiation. And initiation is not some woo-woo abstract concept, although, the gurus and spiritual people would like to see it as this grandiose thing, but to initiate, iniciar in Spanish means to begin, to set in motion, to move. So I invite you to ask yourself, are you here to initiate yourself into a greater level of power, commitment, and truth? Or are you just here to be an online leech of information? To grab this course and pile it on the digital shelf of dusty courses and workshops and tools that you've paid for but never fully used, never fully committed to. And I say this with love in my heart because I have a whole Notion document with 20 trainings, some of which I have never even opened. And the problem with that is that we teach ourselves that we show up into places and we don't get shit done. That we put our resources and we don't get anything back. We set creative endeavors in motion. We bring forth children and we don't parent them. I'm willing to bet that many of you have business projects, things that are, a few unfinished things that are like lukewarm hobbies out there. What's the difference? Are we handling information or are we handling initiation? So I invite you to decide for yourself which one you want for today. Number 2, there is listening, capital L listening, and then there is listening. There is the kind of listening that we have for, our drunk uncle at Thanksgiving when he's talking about politics. And then there is the kind of listening that we have when maybe we've invested a lot of money, a lot of time into having a conversation with someone. There's the kind of listening that comes after we've hiked for weeks into the mountains and we reach a cave and finally we find an old sage sitting by the bonfire and we come with a burning question in our heart and we ask it. And that sage, he could even be silent. He could smile. He could share a word. But whatever he's saying lands deeply. It becomes wisdom. It becomes a new way in which we moving forward. Because we're listening, we're really attuned. And it's not about the sage, but it's about who we're being. It's the kind of listening that we have, for those of you that are familiar with this, when we drink ayahuasca, when we take mushrooms, when we alter our state of consciousness through breath work, perhaps through meditation, where we could stare at the floor for hours and come out of that experience saying, wow, I learned so much. That was incredible. That is listening. That is capital L listening. So I invite you to listen today. Not to sit back and expect to be fed information, but to proactively open yourself up to what you're receiving. The difference between being a capital L listener and the other type is the difference between being a victim and being a creator. For a victim, life is happening to them. A victim shows up into a program and says, I knew this already, nothing new. They show up judgmental, with doubt, with hesitation. They're not committed. And that's how they show up in their whole life. They show up to a date already judging. This girl looks like this guy looks like that. They think they're smart, but they're actually afraid. Afraid that if they allow themselves to open up, transformation would occur. They will have to deal with their shit. Something will happen. Something will change. But it's much easier to show up from the sidelines with a critical eye as a victim. If I have a good time in this workshop, it's because Nico was a great speaker. If I have a bad time, it's because he was boring, repetitive, arrogant, and said stuff that I anyways already know. I want to tell you that whatever time you have today here, whatever time you have in your life is of your creation. And if you don't think so, you're going to live a hard life, because then you're at the mercy of what people do and at the mercy and the hopes that somebody else is going to make it easy, fun, or worth your time. And it's not going to happen. So I invite you to be a creator, to say that by virtue of your commitment and your openness, something magical is going to happen tonight. Not because of who I am, but because of who you are being. And finally, I invite you to understand the bridge builder distinction. And I want to ask you, and type in the comments, is 99% of a bridge, is that a bridge? If I'm from point A and there's point B and there's a river, if I build the bridge 99% of the way, is that a bridge? That's right, Michael. It is a cliff. Some things in life we get participation trophies for. Hey, you tried, you did your best. 99 out of 100, solid. But there are some other things in life where 99 doesn't cut it. 99 is equal to nothing. 100% is the only thing that cuts it. That's the bridge builder distinction. 99% commitment in a marriage is cheating. 99% desire to leave your job is torment. Commitment is living in the 100%. That's building a bridge from where we're at to where we want to go. So I invite you to stop building half bridges. Oh, I'm trying. Master Yoda said, do or do not. There is no trying. That's what he meant by that. Build the bridge or don't waste your time. Chill where you're at. Enjoy life where you're at. But if you're going to bridge, but don't start building a bridge that you don't intend on finishing all the way through. Don't join a program. Don't watch a webinar. Don't join a workshop. Don't get involved in something that you're going to quit halfway through, because that creates karma. That creates the pattern that you start seeing yourself as someone who does not follow through. And that is worse than being someone who just doesn't start things. So, all right. Please give me a thumbs up if you're committed to stepping into your own initiation, capital L listening, and being a bridge builder for the next little bit of time that we have together. I'm going to invite you to do things that for some of you are very comfortable, some things that for some of you are going to be uncomfortable. And always ask yourself, am I here for information or initiation? Is this me building the bridge? Or thinking, I'll skip this 1%. I'm here for something else. All right. Awesome. So if you're here, there's probably some patterns that are ruling you, ruling your business, ruling your life. Please comment yes if you relate to these as I share them. So the almost success syndrome is like you're constantly on the edge of something big. Ooh, like something is brewing. I can feel it. I can feel it. I've been feeling it for about 10 years since I started coaching. I've been feeling that finally, the thing's going to happen. But we sabotage it. I've had times when all my stuff is going viral. People are reaching out. 9-figure entrepreneurs at one point wanted to do work with me and for me to work with their whole family. Suddenly I had a trip to Bali. Suddenly I had something else to do. Suddenly I got sick. Some of you are allergic to success. So the almost success is like, I can smell it, but I won't eat it. Because if I succeed, that will confront the identity that I'm living from. If I realize that I'm worthy of living the life that I dream, if I realize that it is okay for me to own all of who I am and to let the people that don't like that fall off from my life, if I succeed, that means that my stories of unworthiness were nothing but a lie, were nothing but stories. I don't get to keep the same identity, the identity of being wounded, of not being good enough, of being fragmented, divided. If suddenly I am whole, if suddenly I build a business without struggle, without sacrificing my heart in the process, then the part of me that needs to be distracted and busy and run away from his sense of unworthiness has nowhere to hide. So, almost success, almost successful. That's something that shows us that success is a possibility, it's within arm's reach. But if we don't reach for it, there's unconscious patterns ruling us. Next one, you may be attracting demanding or critical clients. You criticize yourself so much, and you're such a strong manifester that you manifest yourself, your internal voice, with flesh and bones and a little bit of a budget to give it to you, so that you feel indebted to them, so that you feel you have to put up with their nonsense. Once again, if this resonates, comment yes in the chat box below. If you attract sometimes demanding or critical clients, people for whom nothing is enough, and no matter what you do, they don't get it, and you feel, well, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe there's something that I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm not good enough as a coach, as a business leader, as a team leader, as an entrepreneur. Another pattern is chronic undercharging and resenting clients. In other words, being afraid of people telling you no, or people seeing you as greedy, or people telling you like, hey, what? You're charging this for healing, for transformation, for advice, for your time. Who do you think you are? So you charge just enough so people feel they're getting a bargain, but you resent your clients. Like, ooh, like, I charge that person $333 and they have 1 year of my time now. I charge that person, and this is not about numbers. I've charged well over 10 grand to people that have been very difficult. It's more about boundaries and about frequency. We're such strong manifestors. We manifest so strongly that the inner voice that we have finds outwards expression. Now, another one, inconsistent online presence. If this is of interest to you, for some of you this may not be, but if you're someone who wants to have a large impact in the world, sometimes you go through sprints of, I'm excited, I'm posting content, and then I burnt out. I hate the Instagram algorithm. This is not for me. I'm not a TikToker. I'm not gonna dance. I'm not gonna be a dancing monkey to the social media gods. So then, until your bank runs out of money and you're like, okay, I need to launch something, or until your heart is telling you, fuck, you were giving so much, you have so much wisdom, you have everything to succeed, you have so many resources, you have built so much, you have so much life experience, you have a team, you have people cheering on you, you have the resources to make a dent in the world for good. And here you are, letting it fly by sometimes. Another form of that is lukewarm content. You dilute yourself. Or vanity metrics. Maybe you chase followers. You have a big audience. A lot of people read your emails. Maybe you make a lot of money, but you feel empty. It's not meaningful. Maybe you're celebrated by people in your communities, but your bank account doesn't reflect the depth of the message that you have. Finally, if you're here in this workshop, it's very likely that you are exhausted from overgiving, that you have imposter syndrome. You feel like you have multiple identities and you don't know which one is you. Actually, you know which one is you, and that's what bothers you. You know who you are, and you know the masks you're wearing, and that's what's bothering you. You're maybe hyper independent. Even if you have a team, you probably want to do everything and micromanage everything. I'm guilty of that. Chronic physical tension, which is just the physical expression of suppressed power, suppressed flow in the body. Chronic tension, so much energy, so much life you were gifted, and so little of it you share, and so inconsistently you share it. And sometimes when you do, you cast your pearls to the swine. You don't share it with those who could really benefit because you want to be approved, you want to be validated. Oh, you don't want to be the greedy spiritual man or spiritual woman because you're allowing for somebody else's unresolved issues with money to put caps on yours, or because you have allowed for somebody else's unresolved issues with their own heart and spirituality to judge your own connection to God. So Kat shares, content does not equal truth. Maybe question why the need to always be present for others. This is your journey. Yeah. All right. So here's one thing I want you to know. The market, your audience, people around you, if you don't yet have one, feel about you, about your content, your message, the exact way that you do. Which if you grab this with jadedness, like, I need to post content, I promise you, you can have killer copy. When you press post, what people are receiving is not how great of a marketer you are, how brilliant your ideas are, but they see through your voice, through your embodiment, through your eyes, the face of someone who is half in, half out, who is jaded, who is doing this out of obligation, not out of service, not out of love. When you speak to your family, to your team, to the people in your business, I feel resentful of them because you have not had boundaries, because you have not been a good leader. Maybe you're proper, maybe you're professional, but they feel the rage underneath the words that you hold. When you show up to a business meeting or you show up to a meal with friends, and maybe they are friends that are constantly. By the way, if you have your, let's see, Tyler, can we please make sure that people are muted so that we don't have echo into, thank you. So if you show up to business meetings, to dinners with your friends, and all they talk about is money and the next milestone, and this is how much, and this is what I invested in, and this is the state of the crypto and the stock market, and your heart is just breaking apart because you could not be bothered. Even though you join in and smile, in their heart, they feel your absence, your disconnection. I want to invite you to consider that you are not playing it safe, you're actually abandoning yourself. You're not toning it down, you're splitting yourself apart. It's not that I'm going to make this more digestible for the algorithm. It's like either you're being yourself or you're not. I'm wearing a mask or I'm not. This is not a dial. Ooh, I'm going to be myself just a little bit. I'm going to be a little bit authentic. That's not how it works. I am authentic or I'm performing. I am present or I'm performing. And if I'm toning down my presence, I'm instantly wearing a mask, which means I'm splitting myself. I'm creating a whole other life. And you wonder why you feel so tired, so exhausted. When you're living, you are living two different lives. I barely have enough energy to live one and live it well lived. And sometimes my wife tells me, Nico, I want more time with you. And I'm thinking, I wish I had more time. Every time that I don't, if I track my calendar, my engagements, there's a part where I'm living a double life with my clients, with my friends, with myself. It's so tiring. We barely have energy for one, but we pick up two. There is the me that is unfiltered, that is truthful, that is full, that owns his or her power, self-expression. And then there is the me that wants to fit in. Finally, let's say that we play the game of people pleasing. What's the price on the other side of that? Okay, I wear the masks, I play the game, I manipulate everybody, including myself, into being likable, being nice, being approved of. What's the price? Mass approval? The approval of the masses, the very masses who binge watch the Kardashians and feed junk to their children, the very masses that forced COVID vaccines on children as well, the very masses that have chosen our political leaders, no matter where you're at. Is that the people that you want to approve of who you are? And no judgment, but if I ever decided to play the game of approval, if you ever decided to play that game, wouldn't you want to be approved by someone that you actually admire and respect? It's never a good idea to play this game, but if we were going to play it, wouldn't it make more sense to actually want to be validated by people whom we hold in high regard? And here's the thing, those we hold in high regard, our mentors, our elders, our gurus, our sages, for them, their approval or their greatest celebration of us will be when we stop seeking it, will be when we are ourselves. There's nothing greater we can do to earn the respect of someone we admire than to show up fully. in gratitude to whatever we have received from life and from them. But mass approval, I don't know, sounds like a losing proposition. And it repels your people. You know, it repels your people. Your people are waiting for you to take a stand, to be clear, to be integrated, to own all of who you are, not just the business side, not just the spiritual side. But if you keep being lukewarm, all right, everybody approves of you, everybody kind of likes you, but nobody loves you. You become the nice guy that women like to have as a friend, but nobody will date, nobody will sleep with him, you know? Now the asshole, maybe it's another extreme. A lot of, it's very disliked, but at least, so women feel drawn to that. Now the man who has done his work, who's integrated, he can move in alignment. He can meet a partner that contributes to his life. She can meet someone that allows for that marriage to happen, that alignment, that flow. But if we're trying to please everybody, we are going to repel our people. And you're not here to lead the masses. You're not here to wake up those who are asleep. You're here to help rise those who are awake and thirsty. You're here to feed those who are hungry for the wisdom, the experience, the knowledge that you've got. Not to force feed food into the mouths of people that are passed out and numb. But for those that want it, those that want it from you, not from anybody else, but from you. So there's one thing that I want you to remember out of today's workshop. If you walk away with something, I want you to remember that self-censorship is a trauma response dressed in professionalism. The core of this is that at some point, your authentic expression was a threat. That's it. It was not safe for you to be you with your parents. That's the root of it. Now, what do we do about this? Maybe you create a polished persona in your social media, in your business, in your meetings with your boss, with your family. Some of you maybe even with your children. Polished persona is a form of trauma bond with your audience or with the people with whom you are keeping that mask. Because it means that you will not allow them to see the true you. So you're manipulating them. It means that that relationship will probably not sustain if it was based on truth. If your truth came up with your clients, with your friends, with some people, with your employees, with yourself, there will be parts that will fall apart. Trauma bonds are bonds that they will last as long as both people keep hiding away from their wounds, as long as both people keep pretending and trying to please each other. But the moment that one owns their power, his or her power, then it falls apart because the whole relationship is predicated on one or both people being disempowered. Because a real relationship can only start when you tell the truth. I want you to take this to heart. A real relationship with yourself, with your people, with your partner, your family, can only start with truth. Outside of this, people are relating to your masks, to the ways in which you try to survive. Because you were never afraid of being seen. None of you is afraid of being seen. But you're afraid of being seen and not loved. You're afraid that your truth, your fullest expression is going to be too much for some people. Maybe even too much for some people that you would love to keep in your life. But you don't give them the option of loving, of seeing the full you, of following who you truly are. Out of fear, you may alienate them. Out of fear, you will burn them with the fire that is latent in your heart. And here's the thing. The love you crave, as cheesy as it sounds, as cliche as this is not to be found outside of you. No matter how much you pretend, but especially if you pretend, you're not going to feel loved. There's more love to be found in the loneliness of an authentic way of living than in the company of a pretense, of a mask, and the company that we gather through the carefully curated personas we build. So, how is this landing for you? Sharing word. I want you to share in one word in the comments what's coming up so far. Truth, remembering, truth, conviction, resonance, authentic loneliness where truth comes up, truth in my heart. All right. Boom. I love the sound effects. Alivio. Mm-hmm. Ayaya. Penetrating. Cool. So I want to be mindful for timing, and I have a track record for these things extending well beyond what is useful for anybody. So I'm going to skip through this. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. The magnetic authority process. That's a lot of words to say. Here's a way in which you can see how we get out of this. Like, all right, Nico, I get it. It's costing me a lot of things. I don't want to live this way. I don't want to pretend with my clients. I don't want to pretend I don't like money. I don't want to pretend that I'm not spiritual. I don't want to pretend that I don't want to build something big. I don't want to pretend that I'm not human, you know? I want to be myself fully. I want to speak boldly. I want to stop people pleasing. How do we do it? So there's 3 steps. First step is always to listen, which is we look at what is. To listen is what we have been doing so far. Analyzing, what is it costing us? What are we doing? What's the truth underneath these tendencies? To listen is when a child is running and he falls. To listen is, ooh, you hear the child crying and you look, what happened? Before any emotion comes up, before you do anything about it, like, all right, what's happening? That's it. That's us listening. Then we love. Please remember this. When people are in pain, they need a hug before they need a lecture. When the child fell, the first thing he or she needs is a hug, is to be allowed to cry it out. Once he's done crying it out, then a lecture will be useful. Then something else can happen. So this is where we love. So first we listen. That was the first L. The second L is we love, which is in this case, we're going to go through a process of unlocking stuck energy, of moving our voice, of melting the ice cold rigidity that we have created out of our power and our potential. To love is to embrace what is, but to allow for the fire of that embrace, the warmth of that embrace to change things, to transform. So again, if a child is running, to listen is to look and say, okay, the child fell, he was running, he scratched his knees. To love is you come and you let him cry, you hold him, you hold her. And the final step is to lead. To lead is after the child has cried, you tell him or you tell her, all right, okay, let us do this. Let us go for a Band-Aid and let us talk about running inside the house, or let us talk about running while being distracted, or running with this thing on the hand. Now leadership has a space for it, has fertile soil. Now he's listening. He feels seen. He understood what happened. Now he's ready for that energy, for that what just happened, to turn to something else. So for the work that we're doing here, to listen is what we've done so far, to look at the situation, look at what is costing you, look at what is costing us, at the patterns, to see it for what it is. To love is what we're going to be doing next, a brief embodiment practice. Again, this is part of a larger body of work. But we're going to move the energy. We're going to allow to feel that suppression, that stagnation, and to free it. But it's very important to lead it. Because if you release a lot of energy and you don't give it a new direction, it's going to end up finding its way back into the patterns that are known to you. This is why many people after ayahuasca recede or get even worse, because so much energy is freed up and they're not creating something new with it. Or people, when they quit an addiction, they jump into another because so much energy, time, life force is free, but they're not using it to build a relationship, to build a business, to chase a hobby, whatever it is. So, leadership, to lead, is what we're going to be doing in the next 3 days as part of the bonus of this program. Um, so, let's go. I want you to, if you have the possibility, to put on some headphones. I want you to put on some headphones, and we're going to be going through something very fun, very briefly. If you live with other people and they may be concerned for you, just go very quickly and tell them, hey, I'm going to be doing a brief practice for 10 minutes. Whatever you hear, whatever happens, don't come in. I'm fine. Send them a text message if that's the case. And then give me a thumbs up once you're ready. All right, Jason's ready. Mark's ready. Millie, Tessa, Sweet, Mati, Mumin. So some of you may be familiar with with the practice that we're going to do. But in essence, all that we're talking about is just energy, stuck energy, our voice, stuck vibration that we don't let out, our words, our thoughts, parts of ourselves that we keep suppressed in order to fit in. This is why we feel tense, because the energy is not flowing fully. But before it can flow fully, we need to create some space, give it some room. And we create room through movement, through vibration. So I'm going to be guiding you through this, but in a second, I'm going to be playing a song, and I'm going to ask you to stand up and to start giving yourself permission to stretch every single part of your body. This is not, we're not doing an ecstatic dance, but to shake and stretch every part of your body. To think, what would it feel like to put my body in a position that it's never been before? Some of you are 30, 40, 50 plus years old, and I promise you, there are positions that you've never held in your body for as long as you've been alive. How crazy is that? So, um, we're going to start moving and stretching and setting the intention to notice what's that area where you hold back. Maybe it's your throat, maybe it's your chest, maybe it's your belly, and just bring extra aliveness into there through your breath, through your sounds. I'm going to invite you to stomp, to shake, to sway, to do whatever, but freezing. Freezing is the response that you default to when you want to post something, you want to say something, you want to hold a boundary, you want to speak up, you want to own your truth. I freeze and I hold back. Please give to yourself at least 10 minutes of your life where you don't freeze, you don't hold back, you don't care about anything or anybody. Those of you that don't have their cameras on, please turn them on. Um, and I'm going to invite you to, in a second, to stand up. And again, ooh, what are people going to think about me? All these random strangers in this Zoom call. It's not about that. It's about giving ourselves permission on our body to create a lot of space, to melt through the heat of our movement, the rigidity of our energies. All right, so please stand up, and I invite you to close your eyes for a second and to start noticing your breath. Start going a little bit deeper and deeper into your breath. And I want you to start with a gentle movement. I want you to just notice already what's present for you. Close your eyes. This is not something where we're watching each other. I want you to be present with your internal experience. And to start, bringing a bit more movement, a bit more aliveness, and to start shaking your body and creating space, giving yourself permission to fully inhabit your body, your full truth. Making up for all those times when you have held back, those times you have frozen. Make sure you are not dancing, but fully stretching your body, occupying, inhabiting every part of your vessel. Notice if you're holding back, and do not allow yourself to go into that pattern. Notice if you're moving a little too careful, a little too curated. Notice if you're holding back from your wilder side, the side that moves maybe with rage, with intensity, with fierceness. If you're standing, I invite you to get on your knees and explore different ways of moving. Try to see if you can find a new edge of occupying your body, of allowing for your life force to move, to live, to express itself freely without your head getting in the way. I invite you to stretch your lips toward your ears. Make a face with your tongue out to involve all of your body in this process. See if you can add a little bit more intensity, a little bit more power, a little bit more freedom and passion to your movements. Maybe raise your hands, maybe take your hips, maybe make a face with your eyes and your tongue. Offer to life beautifully. Each movement, a reclamation of all those moments you abandoned yourself. Each movement, a word of love, of permission, a word of care and reconciliation with the parts of you have dimmed down. Slowly, I want you to make your way back to a seated position and close your eyes. I want you to become present with how your body feels. This is not new. But who you are in this moment could be new if you give yourself permission. Notice what it's like to move without holding back. Notice what it's like to move without caring about what anybody thinks about you. Do you feel more tired or more energized? Just notice. Do you feel more alive, more sleepy? Life is nothing but constant movement, constant dance. The moment that you hold on to your chair, that you don't want to dance with life, she gets ugly. She shows you her face. Shakti, the great mother, life, God, has been dying, craving for you to join her in the great dance that is your life. Notice what is present. I invite you to bring your hands to your heart, your right hand on top of your left one. Bring into your mind's eye the younger you, all the younger versions of you. And younger can be 1 hour ago, 3 hours ago, all the versions of you that you have censored. The versions of you whom you betrayed for fitting in with somebody else. I want you to say internally or out loud if you feel like it, I am sorry. And use your name. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry, Rebecca. I'm sorry, Tyler. Use your name. I am sorry for all the times I ignored you. For all the times I made somebody else's comfort and approval more important than your presence. Sorry for all the moments I performed. For all the moments I abandoned you in my quest to feel loved by somebody else. I'm sorry, and today commit to you, to honoring you, to holding you, holding your truth as sacred, to allowing you to be the teacher and the guide, to allowing your voice to be the one that speaks through me, speaks for God, not for my mind to get in the way any longer. Resentment, if you carry any resentment towards anyone in your life, invite you to consider that that's nothing at the moments in which you chose not to be yourself. Who did you choose to be in that moment? What you resent? It's not really what the other person did, but the expression you held back, the truth you watered down, whom you knew you were, but didn't allow yourself to be, just to please. Allow yourself to be free from it. What is your truth? What is your truth? What is your message? What is the world waiting to hear from you? What are the fruits that life and God has given you that you still hesitate to share? All the pain it's cost you to learn the lessons that you walk with today. For what? Becoming the world's greatest hidden treasure, arriving to your deathbed with a life happily. Because you kept trying to fit into shoes that you had far long outgrown. You wondered, why do these shoes look so ragged? Why do they look so ragged? And why do my feet hurt? Invite you to give yourself permission to let go of the part of you that has been playing small to keep you safe. Because here's the truth. Only in your power and only by the hand of God you are truly safe. Only when you walk and flow with creation, with the Creator, you are safe. Only then you are free. I invite you to take one deep breath. Start bringing your attention back into the space. Slowly. And as you start coming back, please drop a fire emoji in the chat box if you are enjoying this workshop so far. And what do you see now? Please post in the chat box, what do you see now? What came up for you? What is present for you?
Espinas se aparten cuando al verte caminar. Si te saluda el rosal o te refresca la fuente, la paz rodea tu mente o alguien te quiera dañar.
business empowerment, common theme that weaves every aspect of my life. We all have infinite potential. We just have to get out of our own way. Our inner critic holds us back. Centered, courage, loving myself radically. All right, we're coming to the end of the time we had allocated for this, and just want to share that it is a privilege for me, your attention. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate the trust you've placed, the involvement with which you have shown up so far, and how full out you have been playing. To be integrated, to have our masculine serve our feminine, just means that we give ourselves permission as a decision to flow with life. Not to think about it, to let it be. Because there's a deeper wisdom within every single one of us that is just dying to come out. A mango tree doesn't have to struggle to produce mangoes. That's as simple as it is. Self-empowerment, self-expression, the impact you want to have in the world is not something that we can wrestle, that you can wrestle your way towards. It's not at the end of a finished checklist or an ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of system. It happens as a process of removing that which stands in the way, of shaking out those parts of us that no longer serve us, coming back into our full power. True growth is actually a process of destruction. Most self-development is a pipe dream because of this, because we want to become bigger, but we don't need to become bigger, because the biggest lies within every single one of us already. We need to stand aside. We need to become willing. Because if we want to count our way to infinity, we will spend our whole life counting, and it will never be enough. But counting down to 0 is doable, becoming nothing and everything at once. So my invitation for you is to remember that owning your power is not something you create, it's something you allow. You get off your own way. And we're going to open up the room for some questions. Before that, just a couple of next steps. First, this is part of a larger body of work that we are super excited to share with you, which is the Cult to Lead membership. You are going to receive an email with all the details, but the link is also going to be posted in the chat box. And this is, in essence, the condensation of over 13 years in the coaching and as in the coaching industry and working as an entrepreneur. And more than that, creating the community that I wish I had had. Community where we can do deep work and then talk business strategy at the same time, where we understand that these two things are not in opposition. And when we want to become bigger, but not for our own sake, but for the sake of serving others, for the sake of living a full life, for the sake of not dying with songs, with unsung songs in our heart. It is my wish and my blessing that each of us, when we're about to die, that we meet death with a smile and out of breath, for for the tank was empty, and hopefully death is also out of breath, for it took a lot for it to catch up to us, because we were just going and going and going. And I don't mean the going that comes from hustle, but the going that comes from just being aligned to the natural movement in life. For those of you that got a lot of value from today, you're going to love this community. The link is going to be posted in the chat box. Um, I'm super, super excited. We have incredible training coming up. And finally, the journey does not stop here. We're not 100% done with the bridge. We are probably around 70% into building this bridge. There's another 25%, which is a bonus complementary implementation challenge. We have listened. We talked a lot about this empowerment, people pleasing, being divided, fractured, what integration means. That we created some space to feel it, to move it, for the energy to become a little bit more open, to flow. I saw some tears flowing through some of you. That's energy movement. Now we need to give shape to this energy. Now it's time to lead. Now it's time for practicality. It's time to go a little bit deeper. So you're also going to receive in your emails an invitation to join the school community for the next 3 days, where my team and myself are going to be following up with very simple, very practical, but very, 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 very profound next steps for you to ground that which you got here. So that this is not just, oh, that was a fun workshop. We did a little bit of shaking and listen to one song and that's it. No, let us turn this into an embodied reality. Let us show up differently moving forward. So that happens if, as a community, we gather together, we support each other, and we have some really, really cool challenges, really cool bonuses there. I hope you enjoy. We've spent quite a bit of time and effort and just a lot of love into putting this together for all of you. Above all, if you raised your hand, if you told yourself that you were committed to being a bridge builder, please finish building your bridge. This is the final invitation for you to, to join. That one is for free. That's included in your workshop, but you're going to get a lot of value out of that. So with that being said, and yeah, that's it. With that being said, those of you that have to go on the dot, those of you that have children, business, family responsibilities, now is a good time for you to go. And anyone else who wants to stay, I'm going to stick around for 5-10 minutes if there are questions, to answer whatever questions you may have around the process that we just went through, around ending people pleasing, stepping fully into our power, and maybe even about the community that we're launching. So yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's see. Jason, yeah, please unmute yourself.
Hi. Thank you for today. I appreciate you. My question is, I don't have so much of a fear of putting myself out there as I do a confusion as to what to focus my attention on. I was a dating and relationship coach for 25 years, and my ending transformation and the result I got, the relationship that I'm in, wasn't because of any dating tactics. It was because of 35 years of growth, 200 plus medicine ceremonies, just an absolute ton of transformation. And so my passion is around transformation and teaching people how to find their value. But I seem to be stuck in that I don't feel like I ever fully gave my gift as a social skills communication coach. And I don't know how to let it go. So it's something like that. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you at all. Like wanting to move forward with something deeper, but knowing I never really gave my gift with the first thing fully.
Mm-hmm. So if I understand you, you feel you never fully gave your gift with the first thing you were doing. And now you want to move forward with something that is much deeper.
Yeah.
But you don't want to fully give your gift of that because you didn't fully give it for the first thing.
It's something like that. It's kind of half-assing it in both ways. And I do think that I've come up with something fairly original with learning social skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel a responsibility, a duty to leave it behind for people who are on this journey that I was on.
Mm-hmm.
but also I'm not interested in it anymore. I'm interested in transformation and the thing that happens to you when you do deep personal work. But as you may know from dealing with, I don't know what kind of customers you've gotten, but the people who struggle socially often don't do that deep, powerful work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to, that's what I've been stuck with. And
Yeah.
I'm unsure how to move forward.
Yes. So I invite you to consider it in this kind of context, um, especially since you were dating relationship coach. It is very hard to move on to start a new relationship if we're still mourning, or if we have not grieved fully our past one. And what I hear you say is that there's still part of you dwelling over what could have, should have, could perhaps still be that old thing. Yet there's another part of you that knows really like that you're entering a new phase where your energy, your interest, your attention, your aliveness feels inclined in a different direction. And it's like, oh, I was not the best boyfriend, and I met this woman that I really want to marry, but how do I really commit to this woman if I was not a good boyfriend? Well, hopefully I learned and I mourned what it feels like to not give myself fully, to not commit myself fully. You know, if anything, this should be a greater invitation for you to step in a bolder way. You know, both fit into this new thing that you're doing. Because what was the alternative? The alternative is that out of this hesitation, out of this confusion, then this also becomes something where there's a lukewarm involvement. Now, how do we go about that? Um, I invite you to explore whether you have fully mourned and grieved and closed the cycle with what happened. Um, I used to be also in the dating and relationship field, and I had to let it go and let go the beauty of it, what worked, what was nice, the meaning of it, and also let go the parts in which I was not a good partner to the people that I worked with, the ways in which I didn't show up with full commitment, the ways in which I was mediocre in some of the programs that I led. You know, I had to give myself space to fully close that cycle and to feel into it and gather the wisdom and the lessons that I could then translate to what I'm doing now. So, two things here. First, I invite you to close that relationship fully, whatever that looks like for you, a ritual, a letter, time sitting with it, thinking if this had been a woman or a partner, how did I show up? What do I want to apologize for before I move forward to my next relationship? And as you're starting a new one, what is the vow? What is the commitment that you're making to yourself and to this new phase that you're entering? Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to serve you because you bring so much life into me and I feel so excited. And I'm going to do so from a clean slate. And it's going to be hard at the beginning, but I'm here. I'm ready. I'm here for it. And above all, I'm going to show up building on top of the lessons from what I learned happens when you don't fully show up to the extent that you know you're capable. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. All right, Joy, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Well, Nico, it's joy or joy. I mean,
Joy.
both work. And I want to bring about this seemingly duality. I have two questions. One is let's start with the main one. Kind of what prompted this workshop of yours, like being too spiritual for this group, too strategic for this group. Kind of what you started. How how would you say you have merged or give me some guidance about merging things that seem because it's just seem like they don't belong together, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like they should be opposites kind of thing, something like that. How do you integrate that?
Hmm.
I can give you some examples of my life, but I'm just gonna give you your process because you got to an
Yeah,
answer.
yeah. I'm realizing that the one of the greatest illusions is that there's two in life. There's no other. That alone is a mantra that I try to live by. There is no other. What does that mean? Nowhere I set my eye, no amount of filth or state of faith is outside of the Creator.
I understand
No,
what you're saying.
no calamity or amount of grace is outside of God. So being spiritual, people confuse being good, being proper, being righteous with being spiritual. They're two different things. Like there's people that are very good people. They chase virtue, but virtue is its own cage. Virtue is okay, better for society, but for liberation, we need to arrive to a place where um, we can look at at life and death with the same openness, where we are willing, and in this, and I speak from having spent time where I thought the virtuous path, being good, wearing my white robes and my ash on the forehead is really what it means to be spiritual.
Yeah, no, it's just another path.
It was
That's
I was a judgmental bastard. I was
yeah.
looking down at people like, well, that's not. I was divisive within
Mm,
myself. Oh, look at that guy making money. He for sure doesn't get it. Oh, look at that person just chasing sex. For sure he doesn't get it.
mm.
That was my own shame. I didn't feel good enough. I could not claim my humanity. I thought there was a mistake in the design. God made an error with me and with all of life, and our job is to get out of this error, and that's that's an ego trip. Spirituality is being willing to be with all of it, with life, with death, with your children's laughter and their tears, with um, providence, abundance, and scarcity all the same. That to me is how they're merged. It's not something we merge. It's like I dropped the illusion that they were separate to begin with. Practically speaking, for me, how I show up in the work that I do is I don't think, oh, sadhana is what I do in the mornings at 4 a.m. and then work is what I do afterwards to earn money. No, for me, my work is the sadhana. How I show up here today is the fuel for my meditation tomorrow, and how I meditate is the fuel for what I do later at work. In fact, like here, I when I host this, I always have a little candle, a copper candle. I pray before I lead a workshop. It's my path. Tyler, which is part of my team, we were chatting about this earlier. Like, I like to be impeccable to make sure that the margins are the same in the landing page to make sure that no part of creation is unattended. This for me is my spiritual journey, and I found that when I look at everything as worthy of my attention, worthy of my love, life looks back at me the same way. When I'm generous with my life, my attention is all I have to give. Life is generous with me. So for me, business is also like if you're thinking about spirituality and business being separate, like one of the most one of the most fucking difficult things that I've ever done in my life. And I've drunk a lot of ayahuasca and I've been on the edge of losing my marbles and never coming back. And
Mm.
one of the most difficult things has been entrepreneurship, conscious entrepreneurship. It's easy to make money if you close your heart and just hustle your way through it. Super easy.
Mm.
Doing it consciously, leaning in your fears, having difficult conversations without closing your heart, the fear of showing up in front of a screen. What is that? It calls you. You cannot be a good leader. You cannot serve people consciously if you ignore these things. So entrepreneurship is going to challenge you because the first thing that you have to face is your sense of unworthiness, your sense of isolation. Oh, I'm alone in this. Like I need to force it.
Mm.
Your fears, all of that, the way in which we feel abandoned by life. So I invite you to consider that spirituality, if you approach it, sorry, entrepreneurship, if you approach it, if you approach it consciously, is a profound spiritual path, super profound, because as a small, closed off, grumpy, disconnected, judgmental person, it's very hard to make money.
Mm.
Very,
I
very,
agree
very.
that entrepreneurship is one of the greatest ways to spirituality because it shows you where you are at always, one way or another. Um, so interesting that your big answer is dropping the illusion. Now, here's a flavor on that, but this is more like it's the same question, but it's more about like, what do you do about, and this is my case. This is I'm gonna talk about my specific case now. What if I have these regrets or this ah I don't like that it's like I don't like that I'm good at this. I wish that I was good at that. Kind of like I wish I was good like you are with writing, like you like to write. I wish I was good with writing. I wish I wasn't good with this other type of skills. I wish I was that type of thing. And it's like you have this inner conflict because of that um I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but you get it, right? It's this I want that, not this kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think Tyler said it very well. Basketball players want to be rappers. Rappers want to be movie stars.
Yeah, man.
um, Life is listening, and life has given you gifts. You're good at something,
Mm,
and you're taking that, and you're being, you know what? Fuck
yeah.
that shit. I wish you had given me something else. This
Mm,
is not good enough.
mm,
That's how you're talking with the creator.
mm,
That's probably how you talk to yourself. I'm not good enough. And the expression of that is whatever gifts have been given, whatever things, whatever natural inclinations I have placed my attention into, it's not good enough. Like I wish I was different. I wish I had different inclinations, different talents. It's a
mm,
rejection of what life has given you. And guess what
mm,
happens when you, like, at least in my practice, life is feminine. God is the eternal silence, but then the life, everything we see in form is feminine. Is what happens when a woman comes, when my wife makes a meal for me and I'm eating it and I'm like, like I wish you cooked better. And then the next day she makes another meal and I spit it out. And the next day, very soon after, she's gonna say, you know what? Feed yourself. Um, no, if I appreciate what she's cooked for me, which I do, the next day she's playing with new recipes. She's like, hey, what about this? I'm trying to bake this thing. And maybe the first time she burns it because it's something new, but it's okay. So I invite you to stop spitting in life's face, especially for the good things you've been given. Acknowledge that. Ooh, say it's not. I became good at coding, but I wish I had been good at crypto when Bitcoin was low. Whatever it is, it's like wow, I'm great at this, and it's never or. It's like, and you know what? There's still time. I love this. I'm gonna start laying the bricks for this thing to be something good. I'll tell you something. I told um, I used to think that way around music. Well, I wish I had learned how to play guitar when I was a child. I wish I had learned how to sing. I just
mm,
became good at writing and painting. And then I bought myself this guitar 3 years ago to face that, to say, you know what? Okay, maybe I cannot learn as fast as a 10-year-old, 15-year-old, but I can learn as fast as a 30-year-old, and that's good enough. And more than that, I love myself. I would love to play music. I would love to be able to communicate things with my voice in a way that people feel touched by it. Um, and that was my spiritual journey, learning to say, you know what? There's things that as a child, perhaps I didn't have that much choice or control over. And the way in which I love that child as I'm an adult is like, you know what? We're going to play. We're going to buy some Legos. We're going to buy a guitar. And we're going to dedicate time to it every day. And now I play music, I play in ceremony, I sing, and it's been a process. But I could have spent these last 3 years thinking, oh, I wish I had learned how to play music and still be at place zero because I'm judging, I'm resenting, instead of saying, you know what, learning to write made me some money so I could buy a guitar and then learn to play when I was a little bit older.
And I agree with you. And I agree with you. So I don't know if it's a matter of quieting the voice or integrating it because yes, I think you described it very good at you're spitting at life. You're angry at why have you given me this talent? I wanted those talents. And
It's a
it's
matter of practicing gratitude, which in your case, I feel will come through allowing yourself to feel the grief, the anger, the suppression, the whatever is there. Because if without that, the gratitude is gonna, it's fake gratitude. It's like, oh, I should be thankful for what I have. No.
yeah.
So, just to wrap it up here, I invite you to feel fully into what is it? Is it rage? Is it a sense of unfairness, a sense of unworthiness? Disgust. What is that that you feel around what you were given that is not what you wish it had been? You have to go deep into that, deep into its roots, and feel it and shake it and cry it and scream it and allow yourself to, because that's energy that has not completed its movement in your body. On the
Mhm.
other side of that, you're gonna find profound gratitude. um, yeah.
Yeah. I'll put it
So
away. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Joy. We're gonna move to Claudia Cardoso now.
Hola, Nicolás. Thank you so much for sharing your presence and your wisdom. It was a beautiful session. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Claudia.
So I have done a lot of transformation. I have gone through a lot of personal transformation in the last couple of years, and I can feel more. I can be more present. I can see with my emotions. I can accept more reality. I'm not fighting reality anymore. And I'm still sometimes finding myself surprised of how I act in certain spaces, or like, there's still a little bit of disappointment of like, why wasn't I fully present at that time, or why wasn't I more aware of my value or my ability to speak thoughtfully. So I don't know if it's like a little bit of a sabotager that saboteur that I still have somewhere hiding in my subconscious. And the problem is that I'm not aware that this is happening. It's just in after I look back and I was like, oh my God, I was full of fear. Well, I wasn't present. Because when I notice that I'm not present, then I can, come back to my breath, feel my heart. But I'm just in curiosity, like, what
Mhm.
can I do to uh, to harmonize all of those parts of me that want me to be successful, that want me um, to receive what
Mhm.
I want and what I deserve.
Yeah. So one of the biggest, how to call it, mm, challenges that people who join or start placing attention on their spiritual growth face, one of the greatest challenges that we face is that we can become extremely critical of ourselves and others.
Mm.
Because when we're asleep, whatever, I get drunk, I'm afraid, that's just who I am. We don't see outside of that. So our identity is so rigid. The windows are closed, it's all dark inside. So whatever, that's just the way it is. But in the journey, we open the windows, we turn the lights on, and we're like, whoa, life can be beautiful. And then sometimes they turn off, or we close them by mistake or by habit, and we beat our heads against the wall, like, ah, I knew better. Why am I not doing better? I know that I can live with less fear. I know that I can express myself in a better way. I can't believe I was doing that. And
Mm.
I think to use the awareness that sprouts, because that's awareness. It comes after the fact, like, hey, wow, look, Claudia, I think we were moving with a little bit of fear over there. That
Mhm.
awareness is a wise part of you, letting you know about areas where you're still holding back, where you're still getting in your own way.
Mhm.
But it's a very poor use of our awareness if we use it to punish ourselves with it or others. I used to do this all the time. It's like people who learn a little bit about diet and nutrition, and this is me, by the way. Then I go back to my Colombian father and mother, and they're eating chorizo and cheese and buñuelos and Christmas, and I'm thinking, this is just cancer and heart attacks waiting to happen, and I will get so angry and thinking, oh, until I realize that um, awareness arises so that we can have curiosity or we can educate somebody else, but never to punish or to judge. Least of all ourselves. So my practice is, um, let's say today I was preparing something for the workshop and I forgot to charge some things, and then this thought came like, like, I always leave things for the last minute. The workshop is happening soon, and I don't have spare batteries for the microphone. But I have so many things going on, and my office is a bit of a mess, and always like that, Nicholas. And you know any better? And what do you talk about impeccability? Like I went to this loop. In that moment, when I recognize it that I'm being harsh on myself, I place like a hand or both hands on my heart. I close my eyes and I say, like, I'm sorry for, I'm sorry, Nicholas, for judging you for being, I'm sorry, Nicholas, for judging you for being um, disorganized, or I'm sorry, Nicholas, for judging you for being distracted. For what is more true is, I follow with that, for what is more true is, um, that I'm moving at an intense speed. Life is effervescent and is bound to bubble things up. For I am pure life, unfiltered, and that includes the occasional mess. For what is more true is I am human and I am learning and I'm
Mm.
okay. And I'm good if the microphone dies on me. So forgiveness. Forgiveness is such an essential part of the process. Um, I'm sorry. I forgive myself for judging myself for being fill in the blank. For what is more true is, and then we come back into like, what's the truth? Hey, I'm sorry, Claudia, for judging myself for being afraid in that moment. For what is more true is, I am expanding. For what is more true is, I am learning to feel safe. For what is more true is, I'm growing. I'm constantly growing. And if like for me, at least for my wife and the people that have done this, like when you do it and you really feel it, therefore what is more true, it doesn't come from you, it comes from something higher. And very often there's tears with it because we realize
Mm.
how harsh we are on ourselves, and how we're trying to be better people, to be more spiritual, but we're building that on a bedrock of judgments, of punishments, of neglect. We're like pulling at the child and saying, you need to be better. And then that's there's no love, there's very little compassion in that. Versus like, hey, you know what? wow, my mind went to that critical place. Like I forgave myself for that. And actually, that's not who I am. I'm not a fearful person. I am stepping into my power. That is true. And I'm human as well. Does that answer your question?
So what I heard is, so maybe spending less energy on like wondering why, and just keep accepting how things are, and loving what is, and continuing the journey, right?
Well, the why, there's a million possible things, like the moon and the planets were aligned and something you ate 3 days before and your hormones, your moon cycle, and something the person was saying and something you watch on your phone and the level of cortisol and dopamine and serotonin. And the why could have nothing to do with the degree of spirit, of how spiritual you are or how conscious. It could have been you ate a little too much and there's more tamas, your energy is moving a little bit slower, so you were a little less aware in that moment. So you went back into default state. The why could be that your great, 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 great grandmother had to swallow her truth to survive, to not be kicked out of the tribe. Thanks to that, you're alive today. How to know? It's useless, that endeavor. It's useless to go there. So, why it happened, I don't know. But it happened. And I'm being harsh on myself over it. So, I'm
Mm.
sorry. And we're good. We're good. And we're trying.
Mm.
That's it. Gently.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you.
All right. Michael.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Um, Still don't know which one I'm gonna ask. We'll see what happens. Like it's basically this voice, right? Who the fuck are you to give? I'm like, I know I'm good at listening. I know I can feel people. And then I know I've kind of discovered in myself something big, something really huge. And I know that everyone has that in them, and I can help people. But that voice, who the fuck are you? And like it's still, I'm still looking for permission to begin helping in that way. Um, and today I spent like the whole day trying with Forged. It helps a lot. I recommend it. It's amazing. It's amazing, really. Thank you for that. And I'm realizing things, but I just wanted to ask for you how you also, or did you ever have that as well? That voice that says, "Who the fuck are you?" Um, Yeah, I think, well, that's the question that came out. So I guess it's that one.
Do I have that voice? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I've just learned to be uh, good friends with that voice and understand that that part of me wants me to stay safe. It feels we're leaning into an edge. But here's the thing. I've said the more and more I've said like thank you for protecting me, thank you for making sure that we're safe, thank you for making sure that we're not judged, thank you for making sure that we're not ostracized or um, rejected like we were back in primary school, whatnot. Um, it's a part that wants to protect me. That first, it's not something I need to demolish. Like people that say the ego is the enemy. Like good luck living at war with a part of yourself.
Mm.
No, every part of us is on our side. That's the crazy thing. Trauma is a glorious intelligence. It's such a profound embodied intelligence that allows us to survive things that would have been otherwise very damaging to all of our system in the whatever way they could. So first thing is I recognize that this voice is on my side. It's not trying to sabotage me, it's trying to protect me. So I acknowledged it, take a deep breath, and then I said, like, you know what, we're doing this anyways. I don't,
Mm.
okay, if I'm afraid of sharing my voice, am I gonna stand in front of a stage full of 10,000 people? For some people, that will fry their nervous system. But hey, maybe I can start with writing a post. Maybe I can share something during dinner with my family or with my friends. I can lean into that. How, for every person, the degree to which they can regulate themselves in moments of tension is different. Um, there's some people that like, I like to grow through the fire, give me something difficult, I'll throw myself and something will happen. So my wife is very different. She grows through like a gentle path, through a smooth, ever expanding kind of presence. There's no right or wrong. I burn myself sometimes, and sometimes she's
Mm.
too slow, and sometimes we need each other. That's why we're married with each other. So what happens though is that that part that wants to protect you, if you prove it wrong enough times, eventually it's like, hey, oh, we're doing this again. Okay, just be careful. It's like a parent that tells you, like, watch out. You should get a proper job. Like my parents, for example, like my dad wanted me to work with him after I finished university, and he like, son, what are you gonna be doing after university? You can have a job here with me and whatnot. And then I'm like, no, I'm thinking I want to be a tattoo artist or I want to go into coaching or whatnot. Be careful, if you need something, you can always come back and work. And at the beginning, he was like, hey, watch out, like this is dangerous. You're taking a risk. It may not work out. Watch out. Watch for the needles, the diseases, all this stuff. Um, and then I took risks, and then yeah, I committed. So it's impossible to commit and for things not to go well. And they went well, and then afterwards, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm making good money. And my dad is like, oh, okay, okay, okay. But be careful, save some money,
Mm.
keep it aside. Then I invested in some more things, and my dad is like, whoa, watch out, watch out, watch out. And those things panned out well, and my dad is like, oh, okay. So then afterwards, when I say I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna move to this place, I'm like, my dad is like, oh, okay. And so there's that part of us that over time relaxes. But we need to
Mm.
like, but if we don't commit, then it never gets the evidence it needs to understand that it was safe. So that's for me, that's the way to lean beyond my edge, to commit. Because if I lean and I pull back, then that part is like, yeah, 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 here is safer. I told you, I knew
Mm.
it. Like, who do you think you are? Don't take too much space. But if you take it and maybe you're a little shaking afterwards, but you feel full of life, that part is like, whoa, that was intense, but this
Mm.
feels good. It feels like that starts cheering on your side.
Mm. So you jump into the ocean. Like you don't, do you go into the water slowly or you
Me?
jump in? Yeah.
No, I like to jump in. Like,
Yeah, you jump.
there's uh, life is too damn short to like for half measures. If something's gonna happen, let it happen right now. Why
Mm.
wait? Why wait? Oh, I'm gonna spend this year get ready to then share my voice on social media. That's not how it happens. Because I rob myself of not of the results, but whom I will get to be. I rob myself of being self-expressed, of being committed, of being involved, of being alive. That's something I don't want to postpone for tomorrow or for when I feel safe or comfortable. No, like, you know what? Let me enter into that way of being right now and acknowledge the parts of me that the stories that I carry that are challenged through that. Ooh, I'm not good enough. Oh, what are people going to think about? Ooh, like, okay,
Mm.
so be it. So be it. Um, yeah, does that make sense?
Thank you. Hmm.
All right. Thank you, Michael. We're going to pass it now to Kate.
Hi, thank you. Sorry about my lighting, but you kind of were beginning to touch on my question at the end of your response just now. So where I'm feeling really sticky is about that commitment. Like I'm really scared to commit. And as you were talking earlier in the webinar, I just had a conversation today with my business partner, and we were talking about commitment and kind of moving into this next stage of our relationship. And so but as you were speaking earlier, I realized like, oh, fuck. I'm not even committed to myself. I'm not, so of course I can't really commit to somebody else if I'm not committed to, yeah, to me. So yeah, if you have any more wisdom to shed on that, I would appreciate it.
Hmm. So actually, we have a scheduled workshop later this year on commitment alone, because that's that in some of the most private programs that I lead, the first module is we spend a whole month, at least a week, but usually a whole month on commitment alone. When people get it, very often we have people that they don't come back to any of the other lessons. They just send message saying like, "Man, you changed my life, you changed my marriage, you changed my business." When we get that, the power of commitment, of showing up fully. Um, I'll share a couple of words, but for sure, please engage in the integration, the 3-day challenge, because there's a part of that is being total, being fully involved. There's something that we have created that is really, really good. I think you're going to enjoy it, and it's going to touch on that, on how to commit fully to ourselves, to life, because that's what we're actually doing. Now, what I have found is that a lack of commitment often is preceded by a lack of clarity, being confused about the options, who we are, what we truly want. Do I really want this? Do I want to go this way, that way? Am I even ready? There's confusion. And the antidote to confusion, or not the antidote, but what dissolves confusion is stillness. So if you can spend at least a day, I usually recommend people at least 3 days, no cell phone, no entertainment, no distraction, by yourself. If you can, book yourself a cabin, go in nature and sit down, maybe with your journal, but don't get distracted by it. Sit down to be with yourself, because most people don't know who they are. Most people have not spent enough time by themselves to know who they are. So how can I commit to myself if I don't know myself? It's like you want me to go into a blind wedding, an arranged wedding. It's like, of course I'm hesitant. I don't know who the bride is. We don't know who we are. Why? Because we're always in function of my cell phone, my friends, doing something else and being entertained. So for commitment to be possible, there has to be a period of silence. Even Jesus, before his big work, he had to go for 40 days and nights into the desert. So that's my invitation for you. Even if it's just half a day, I don't know what responsibilities you have. Maybe you have children, maybe there's something else. But if you can carve out as much as you can, free from distractions, not even music, just you by yourself and sitting there, ideally with your eyes closed, and just asking yourself this question, like who am I? Who am I? What am I committed to? What has meaning for me? If you ask it with enough intensity, the answer will come, and it will be obvious and undeniable. But very often we don't build enough intensity in us for us to be receptive, because we're distracted, because the pain of not knowing, the pain of not being committed, that's what starts to fuel the possibility of that commitment. Not knowing is the beginning of knowing. But if I don't allow myself to burn through that pain until I arrive to a place within me where I say, I've had enough, that's it. I will not keep living like this. Something has to change, and it has to change right now. That's the kind of resolve that brings life into like a one-pointed direction. It's like, here you go. This is your purpose. This is your mission. This is who you are. And that's commitment. It's not a response we receive. It's not something we do. It's not where we're going, but where we are coming from. That is commitment. Commitment is the state of being that we come from. It's not a person, a thing, a job, but where we come from. And that's very hard to access if we have not made space in our life, to to face the stillness, to listen, and to scream for that, to ask for that. Um, yeah, does it make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Kate. All right, let's see. Okay, Michael has one more question, I believe.
Nobody else has their hand raised, so
Yeah.
I mean, I'll might as well. When um, I guess it's connected to that last question too. Like yesterday, so a lot of times it happens. I should be working, and instead I do that listening thing. Like I keep digging. It's like I'm addicted to digging and digging into myself. But sometimes cool stuff comes out. Like yesterday, I wrote down what felt like this is why I'm here, and it's to give, like everything, my music, give, my writing, give. I want to coach and help from a place of giving. And I was walking down and like just feeling, like I felt like I could almost see spirits. I felt like, that space. It felt like I didn't see them, but I felt like I could. And then there's I got this from Forge, the idea of the flinch, um, which I bet you know about because you created that. So, uh, uh, and the little flinch was like a little boy. It's like, oh, but I need to get. And I tried to spend time with it because I'm addicted to doing that. Um, but I just, I mean, I still haven't processed it. And I'm curious, like, how, if you've got to know, like, how do, how do you really genuinely come from a place of giving, giving, giving? Um, Not from fear, because that felt like that was from love and abundance. That really felt. But then there's this little part of me that's like afraid, like, no, 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 but you can't give everything. Any perspective on that? Does that make any sense?
I think so. So there's practicalities to it. This is why there's volunteering, there's seva at ashrams, places where you go and you give. That's it. That's your role. You clean toilets, you mop floors, you take care of things for people. Because that challenges the part of you that thinks, oh, I don't have enough time. I don't have the part of you that wants an exchange. So those places are great if you feel that your giving is laced with expectation. Then putting yourself in a place where you volunteer, where you're not receiving anything. You're just giving your time, your effort, your sweat, maybe even your money to be there, and that's it. I recommend that because in that you realize that giving and receiving and it's two sides of the same coin. In giving, we receive so much. And in receiving, we allow for people to give, for life to give to us. So on one hand, if you can go volunteer, go spend time with people who really need, because we need, but there are people who really need. That brings so many things into perspective. One of the first times that I went to India, just before going, I was complaining about my apartment here in Toronto because I don't have enough space for the stuff that my wife and I own, and I thought, oh, it's so tiny. And I go there and I'm realizing, fuck, we're living like kings and queens, and I'm so unappreciative. Like, whoa, like I came back grateful, thinking, wow, it's this is great, this is gigantic, I'm so privileged. It's a matter of perspective sometimes. Number one, number two, sometimes we're afraid of giving because our cup is empty. It's like, oh, of course, if I have nothing to eat, it's gonna be harder to share that with somebody else. Um, Great possibility for growth, but harder. So also feel that there's no virtue to being a martyr of anybody else out of codependency, giving at my own expense. No, thank you. So sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? I'm in a period where I'm ready to receive, and I need to take care of my energy and maybe take care of my finances and fill my own cup before it is in right relationship for me to give. It's like a tree that is only producing fruits, but the roots are not absorbing or receiving anything. At one point, the roots are gonna be like, "Hey, like cut it out. We can't produce anymore. There's not enough to go around." And that's it. And that's in right relationship. Are the roots being greedy? No, they're just trying to bring things back into certain balance. Otherwise, the whole thing, the whole enterprise will fall apart. The tree will dry itself out. So just feel into it.
Mm.
Are you holding back? Maybe go and volunteer some more so you get some perspective. Or have you neglected yourself, and that's why there's a part of you that is afraid that you just don't have enough in you to give, and then you keep trying without having taken care of giving to yourself first. Maybe that child is not telling you don't give. It's telling you like, hey, give, but include me in the process.
Mm. Mm.
Mhm. All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone that was present, everyone that watched all the way until this Q&A. Once again, you're going to receive an email. I look forward to connecting in the school group over the next 3 days. And for those of you that are curious to commit fully to go on, not 99, but 100%, I look forward to seeing you and having you join the Cult to Lead community. I love you. Peace, power, and a lot of prosperity. See you next time.